Hi friends, it's September 24th, 2023, and this is essentially the 3-year anniversary of my hospitalization with COVID, which was one of the most transformative experiences of my life. Like, it was a wild roller coaster for a lot of reasons that I'm just going to gloss over in this video. But I'm really busy traveling and working and stuff right now, but I have been wanting to make videos and talk about my experiences for a long time, and I've made a couple of videos like talking about things and stuff. I just haven't had time to organize stuff, and eventually I want to do some really nice videos and like include footage and images and stuff from my experiences, but I don't have time for that right now. So this is what you're getting. This is my placeholder. Anyways, it's been 3 years, and like I can't wait to like talk about it anymore. So here I am. So here's my glossing over what happened. So basically, you got to remember in 2020 we didn't know what was going on with COVID. I caught COVID right after Labor Day. I was sick with COVID for several weeks, and I talked about my experiences online on Facebook, so people kind of knew what symptoms I was experiencing and what was going on. And it wasn't so bad at first, but in like the second week, like it escalated dramatically, and I did not realize how bad off I was, because I wasn't, my blood oxygen was low and my brain wasn't getting enough oxygen, and honestly I basically felt high most of the time. So like I wasn't really worried about anything, because like I didn't realize I was struggling to breathe because I wasn't moving around a lot. I was mostly just sitting at my computer, like playing video games or whatever online, and as long as I sat still, I just felt kind of, lightheaded and stuff. Like if you've ever had like nitrous oxide or something like that, I think like a similar sensation. And anyways, thankfully, one of the people on my Facebook list was a medical professional, and like their spidey senses went off, and they started reaching out to me and encouraging me to do and track several things. And long story short, I ended up in the hospital. I ended up in the hospital twice. I went to the ER, and the first, they put me on oxygen in the ER. And as long as I was on oxygen, like I was fine. But they didn't have enough beds, and they were short-staffed. And I just assumed that they knew whether I was okay or not. So when they like gave me the option to leave or stay, I was like, oh, well, if you think I'm okay enough to leave, then I'll go home. Yeah. But anyways, I was back in the ER 2 days later because I was struggling to breathe on my own. And I spent 16 days hospitalized with COVID and pneumonia. And basically, they just, they treated me for those things, and I was on oxygen. Like that was the big thing. I didn't have to be put on a ventilator, so that was great. And during my time in the hospital, which was a crazy experience because it was, isolation, no visitors. The staff came in as little as possible because they had to wear full hazmat suits and stuff. I would interrogate them a lot because that's just what I do. And if I remember correctly, they said they had about 30 patients, half of which were on ventilators and half weren't. And I was the only one that was lucid. And not only was I lucid, but I did not respond, probably because there were so many steroids in my body, I did not respond to like basically the sleep tranquilizers they gave me. And like I wasn't sleeping. Like I'd sleep like 30 minutes. I'd get asleep. I'd wake up 30 minutes later, like wired off the wall, that sort of thing. And if I remember correctly, and thankfully I have extremely detailed notes and tons of videos and photos from my experience. So I have all the information to like go through and like put together like, the factual whatever's order of what things happened in. But off the top of my head, I think, the first week I was in the hospital, I was actually incredibly, I know everyone was worried I was going to die, but I was worried about my husband because we had COVID together. Like I got it first, and he probably got it from taking care of me, but he didn't have anyone in our house to look after him if he suddenly got worse like I did. And so that's part of why I couldn't sleep. I was so worried about him. And like I know I'm the one in the hospital on oxygen ship, but it's like you know what, men do not take care of themselves, and like there was no one there to look after him, so I was distracted. But I think it was day 5 of my hospital experience. I had a PTSD episode. And then I believe it was day 7 that I began to experience what at the time they referred to as steroid psychosis. And this is the part, like it was really cool to be in the hospital documenting the whole COVID thing because like nobody was, was doing that. But like the really, really cool part and the part that was so transformative for me personally was like my experience with psychosis or an altered state of reality, like whatever. It got like supernatural fast and stuff. And, it's taken me a while to talk about it because I've been having to like process, like, what was it, like what was it to me and like all this kind of stuff. But basically like what ended up happening was, and the story is so cool that I hope you'll eventually check in and like actually listen to the actual story of it. But basically what ended up happening was, from my experience, like basically like God woke me up one night by like, he shocked me awake by or scared me awake, I think is what I wrote in my journal, by basically possessing my body and forcing me to pull an IV out of my arm. And then the next thing I know, I am channeling God and making videos, speaking to myself, but also like speaking to like others or whatever. And I made tons of videos there, like while in the hospital. I was recording all the time because, before the psychosis even began, I'm OCD about documenting things because of short-term memory issues. And thank God for that, that quality. But man, I got some really interesting stuff, and stuff got crazy. And, in some videos, I'm looking pretty darn rough, and out of it and everything. But man, I got the best freaking stories out of it. I got like the best experiences, the best insights. But the really crazy thing is that like a lot of the things I was told and experienced and like the visions I was given, because I experienced channeling. I didn't know it was called channeling at the time, so I would have just called it possession. I had several out-of-body experiences. I had a near-death experience in which I totally fucking went to like some form of heaven, and there was some crazy stuff. And man, that was probably the coolest day. I had a lot of different experiences, and man, I was told things that I have no knowledge of that turned out to be true. I was given told a lot of things that basically turned out to be like premonitions of, like my life and things in the world and stuff. I was told a lot of things that I didn't know about that later on when I came across them, it's like, oh, this is a real thing, like all kinds of stuff. And when I first got out of the hospital, and while I was in the hospital, I said this, so like the whole psychosis thing, one of the things that's really interesting about it is that I fluctuated between being, we'll just say in this reality, in this level of consciousness or whatever, and between an altered state of consciousness. And I was very aware that I was shifting between the two states. So I was documenting it. I was making notes about it. I was trying to problem solve my situation to help me to help me figure out like what was actually happening, what was real and not real, and all that kind of stuff. And thankfully, I finally have like answers to pretty much all of that, which is fantastic. But I really want to talk about this, and it's been 3 years, so I really need to talk about it now, even if I'm not made up and got my video stuff set up and all of that. So I'm just going to try and like make some videos talking about some different things to post, and then hopefully one day, now that I've been working on my videos, this is part of why I've been working on my video skills. It's all a master plan to create my documentary about my COVID experience and psychosis and, my like spiritual journey that has happened since then. Because like, if you are someone that like knows me, especially if you're Facebook friends or whatever, I'm sure some of you have seen that my life has been fucking amazing for like the last several years. And it's all thanks to like almost dying from COVID and, having crazy, like, whatever, you can think whatever you want, drug induced or whatever, supernatural induced spiritual adventures. Like, yeah, it's super fun, guys. And I really hope some of you are interested in hearing about it, because I'm telling you, it's a good story, man. Like, really fucking entertaining. Like, if nothing else, like, I laugh at so many things. It's so funny. It's just so funny. But anyways, I'm at my time limit, so I'll see you on the next one.